Today on Inside the Game, Taylor Swift's engagement sets the internet ablaze. Cracker Barrel reverses its logo change after a national backlash. And the U.S. men's national team dropped its September roster with big returns. Plus, Forest Hill Central's Paul Kramer and NISA's Josh Taylor join us live right now.
Welcome to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, August the 27th. It's Inside the Game. It's 146 is the episode number. That's Nate Wangler. I'm Jonathan Turner. Our producer, Ryan Glinsky, is back here on this Wednesday morning. Ryan, man, welcome back.
I really didn't think I was going to be the next person to go to get transitioned to. So I was working on the other camera, but yeah, what's up, guys? How's it going? I'm a little bummed I missed out on some Max Dowman talk yesterday from Arsenal, the 15-year-old who played phenomenally on Saturday, by the way, but glad to be here.
We are glad to have you back.
It's starting to get scary, man. Ryan, you're going to have this phenomena eventually in life somewhere down the line, all right? I'll give you another 7, 8, 9 years or whatever it is until you hit nearly 30, when you're on the doorstep of 30, when you start looking around at professional athletes and everyone else that's playing, and then you realize that they're a decade and a half younger than you. Life's going to get real scary at some point. So I'm just letting you know, because that was the experience that I had watching Max Dowman take the field the other night for Arsenal. So that's just how it goes. I'm just letting you know. And then it gets really scary when you get to this guy's age up here, because then, everybody's just, you're just like, wait, how did I missed the train, I guess. I don't know. So, yeah, we're both kind of there. My joints hurt now.
How old do you think I am?
Gotta be like 71 at least. 72.
Wow. I look good for a 70. If I look this good at 70, my guys,
73.
I'll be extremely happy. Okay,
75. Final guess.
Anyways, yes, I do share in the sentiment that someone who is almost a third of your age is having success on a pitch. So I feel like that. Shame on him.
Could have been me if it wasn't for my bum ankle, Could have been me.
We have a great show here lined up here today for everybody, and we've got some guests here. We'll get into that in a moment. A lot of things happening in the world of news yesterday, soccer news, restaurant news, pop culture, just about everything. We'll dive into all that this morning. We were going to talk U.S. Women's National Team, the top players, players you would select to play on the pitch as your starting 11. If you went through the entire history of the U.S. Women's National Team, who would you pick? Me and Nate were going to do that today. Being that I am a producer, executive producer, and Ryan and whatnot, I put out a link this week about booking guests. And I did not put on that link one at a time. And so we double booked ourselves today, and which is great. I think it's fantastic. It means that we're not going to have room to cover that. And I don't want to short, our guests, and I don't want to short that topic. And so I feel like we need to push that. So we're going to push that to tomorrow. And so we will do that. But we have some great guests on. Paul Kramer from Forest Hill Central will join us. Hey, his team is currently ranked third in the state according to the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association. They have started off to a really, really good start. We'll talk with him this morning. Josh Taylor from NISA, Director of Communications from NISA, will join us. We announced our partnership last week in regards to that and the upcoming NISA Pro Cup. So we'll dive into that this morning. So a lot of really, really cool things that we're going to talk about here this morning. And when we come back here from our first break, we are going to dive into Is Taylor Swift actually engaged? Yes, we're going to talk about that on the air here this morning. We will. But we'll talk about that and much more. You're watching Inside the Game, number 146 on the National Soccer Network.
The Flint City Bucks are Michigan's top soccer franchise with 4 national championships, 9 conference titles, and 15 Great Lakes Division titles. They have produced 107 players for Major League Soccer, and they focus on attracting top talent and shaping soccer's future. Michigan Bucks Academy joins NLS Next new competition tier starting in September of 2025. This offers elevated levels of play and flexibility for high school participation. The Academy will provide premier development, high-performance training, and exposure to scouts through regional tournaments and MLS Next events. For more information on tryouts, training programs, and key updates as we prepare for our first season in MLS Next new tier, visit MichiganBucksAcademy.com.
Welcome back here into Inside the Game. I'm in our Shelby Township studios here in Metro Detroit. Nate Wangler's out in Grand Rapids, along with obviously Ryan Glinsky. Grand Rapids love. Forest Hill Central coach is from Ada, but not too far from Grand Rapids, right? And so we'll talk with Paul Kramer here in our second segment here this morning. We're going to dive into the fact, we talked about Cracker Barrel here last week, and Cracker Barrel has made a very difficult decision. They have decided to stay with their old logo. And to be fair, it's probably not so much to do with the fact that there was a bunch of backlash. It's probably because they didn't have any money to actually change the logo across all their stores since they lost it all last week in their stocks. So that's probably why I think they decided to do this. But clearly Cracker Barrel is undecided about their marketing. I'm sorry. I can't.
I mean, you say it's not because of criticism. I think it's because people beat them into oblivion and forced them to go back to their old logo. I think that has everything to do with it. I think the PR storm came in hot. I think people were pissed off. You know, we got people getting sick in the bathroom like Ryan. I mean, it's just like there's a bunch of stuff going on. They needed to figure it out real quick. I think that all directly comes back to people just being like, what are you doing? I don't see the big deal in it, but yeah, no, I think that's a direct correlation in my personal opinion.
He wants to correct course here. He did not get sick in their bathroom. He got sick in somebody else's bathroom.
Oh, okay, all right.
I got sick in 2 bathrooms. I got sick in the rest stop somewhere in Ohio, and then I got sick in the Starbucks bathroom next to Bowling Green's campus. Yes, like right across the street from Bowling Green campus. So I got sick in 2. It was not in the Cracker Barrel bathroom, but I will say, I think they heard me the other day about their logo and how I got sick. So I think I'm the reason that they reversed this logo. And,
yeah, there we go.
No, I got sick in 2 bathrooms, and it wasn't even theirs. So they didn't have to clean up anything.
Yep. See,
the credit goes where it needs to go, and that's to Ryan Glinsky. You heard it first here on the National Soccer Network. Ryan Glinsky getting credit for making sure that Cracker Barrel understands that you can't change your logo. And it's funny how a restaurant that up until last week had no relevancy whatsoever. It's like
it's true.
They kind of made themselves relevant through all that.
I know,
in a
it's
way.
like GameStop, right? It's almost like GameStop, right? Anyways, hey, in even bigger news yesterday, Taylor Swift is engaged.
God.
Now, this is important. Travis Kelce is not engaged. Taylor Swift is. Okay, that's an important thing to say, right? So Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, getting engaged. My understanding is the ring is between 7 and 10 carats, upwards of $700,000 to $1 million for the ring. He supposedly they got engaged in their backyard there in Kansas City, in the suburbs of Kansas City. Over $30,000 were spent on the flowers that you see behind them. So a bougie engagement, and supposedly this happened about 2.5 weeks ago, and that was happened before they were on that podcast, the Kelce podcast, announcing her album. So they were pretty good liars during that podcast.
That's true.
Well, and just great, Travis just making Taylor Swift relevant too. This is just such a good gesture on his end, kind of bringing her into the limelight and kind of introducing a brand new fan. No, I'm kidding. I'm just trying to rage bait T Swift fans. Listen, it finally happened. All right, so it's no longer the new shiny thing. It's no longer the top topic. They're married. It is what it is. We can all move on. No,
They're not married yet. I mean,
they're gonna be married. It's gonna happen. But I love all the memes that have been
engagements,
released.
Right?
I love all the memes that have been released. It's awesome. But she's not going away from NFL. She's not getting less NFL screen time anytime soon. It doesn't bother me, by the way, whenever I watch games. But it is funny to see this clash of the two populations of Swiftie fans who are migrating into the football scene and learning more about it, and then the traditional fans who are like, my God, I can't watch a game without seeing Taylor Swift. This is terrible. This is horrible. I just like to sit back and kind of third person this whole thing, kind of third party the whole deal, and just watch the two sides just kind of go at it. But yeah, finally did it. Finally tied the knot. Oh boy, it has no impact on my end whatsoever. It doesn't change my life one bit. But yeah,
well,
it definitely broke the internet.
I mentioned this like in the last time we talked about Taylor Swift. We're going to talk about Bloomfield Hills High School here in a moment. Game last night here in Michigan. But I said, if Travis can't dump her, or they can't break up because there's like a song that'll be written. And
no, he's in.
That's what I'm saying. You have to have a certain level of. A good solid foundation if you're going to be in a relationship with Taylor Swift. You got to be secured in what could come your way if you decide to walk away, or she walks away for that matter. Bloomfield Hills High School yesterday matching up against Avondale High School in an OAA white matchup. Hey, they win big. In high school soccer, there's a mercy rule. It's 8-0. You have to be up by 8 goals after at the end of the first half. I believe it was 4-0 going into halftime. They scored 4 goals in the second half. That was available on our sister network, MI Sports Network. That's where we stream all of our high school sports here in the state of Michigan. And this game was on last night. Our very own Nora Drury called the game, so you can watch that on MI Sports Network. But again, they win big last night, 8-0. Over Avondale High School. We're going to try and bring more highlights into our broadcast here that we produce every single week. And so you'll be able to take a look at that, during our show, during this first segment. We're going to dive into this. Yesterday it was released, across the United States about the September roster of the U.S. men's national team. And here it is. You can see there on your screen goalkeepers, right? Roman Solitano, Matt Freese, Jonathan Klinsman. You see the defender, midfielders, forwards. The conversation isn't so much, though, about who's on this roster as it is about who is not. It's always about the have-nots, right? Isn't that what it's always, I feel like it's always about there, Nate, right? It's like, here we have this roster. We know Christian Pulisic's on it. Josh Sargent, who's one of the best starts he's ever had in his career. Tim Weah, right? You see the players up and down this roster, but who is missing? Who is missing from this roster?
Well, what I'm looking at, I haven't, and maybe he's on that list. I'm not really seeing him right now, just kind of reading through it. But from what I see, there's no Malik Tillman on that list. That's, I guess, a little surprising to me. I thought Malik Tillman was amazing in the Gold Cup. I thought he would have at least gotten a September call-up ahead of World Cup, at least from the showings that I saw from him. So a little surprised that I'm not seeing him on that list. What I will say, I'm very happy, extremely happy that Diego Luna did get a call. I realize from maybe he kind of came out of nowhere with what he did in the Gold Cup, and I know he's an MLSer, so maybe not getting as much attention as what we've seen from some of the obviously the players overseas. But he is someone that I think, at least in terms of being the heartbeat and the soul of that team from like a clubhouse perspective, and especially after the whole saga of him getting elbowed in the face and having a bloody nose and breaking his nose and still being out on the field. I mean, just that image kind of resonates in the minds of, I feel like, a lot of U.S. men's national team fans, including myself. So very happy to see that he is getting the opportunity to go back out and continue to be a part of that. Matt Freese being on there, happy to see that. He was great in the Gold Cup. No Matt Turner on that list. Interesting. I did not see that one coming. I thought maybe Matt Turner would be a staple on this team, given he was the one that started in the 22 World Cup. So no Matt Turner, no Malik Tillman, which again was a surprise. I thought he was really good with the team in the Gold Cup run. So I don't necessarily know what that means to his future or what he's going to do. But in terms of players that are missing, I mean, those are the initial ones that come to my mind. Maybe we can put the list back up initially just to see what we got going on here. But you got Tyler Adams in there. You get Damian Downs, Tim Weah, Josh Sargent, who's been off to an unbelievable start. Ryan, you talked about that a little bit yesterday. Kind of nuts to see exactly what he's doing. But no Jedi on there. I don't know if I saw
No.
Jedi on there.
Wesley
that's another
McKinney
shocker.
Is not on this roster. Johnny
Nathan
Cardoso,
McKinney.
Matt Turner, Giorena. Additionally, players like Anthony Robinson, Florin Balogun, Ricardo Pepi, and Malik Tillman were omitted due to injuries. So, we're going to talk about.
Malik
this,
Tillman is
throughout.
hurt. Oh, okay, my
Yeah.
bad. I didn't know he was hurt. Okay.
Yeah, so again, or coming back from an injury or of sorts, right? So,
Yeah.
we're going to dive obviously into this significantly over the next couple of weeks as they start to play their matchups here. Their first match is coming here September the 6th at 5 p.m. in Harrison, New Jersey. Another game, they'll play against the Korea Republic, and then on September the 9th against Japan in Columbus at 7:30 Eastern. So maybe I'll try and get out down to Columbus for that game. We'll take a look. But that'd be kind of a fun thing for us to do, to get down there and watch a U.S. men's national game. But hey, we've got a busy show ahead here today. We talked about that here in the opening. We have Paul Kramer who will join us here on the other side of this break from Forest Hill Central. So we'll be back here on the other side here, talk with Paul Kramer.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics.
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play,
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
call 586-304-4405
And start watching today.
Welcome back here into Inside the Game. Nate Wengler, Jonathan Turner alongside Ryan Glinsky as well. And joined now by Paul Kramer, the Forest Hill Central head coach and head of the Rangers. And Paul, first off, welcome to Inside the Game.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Well, we're excited to have you. And so, Paul, first and foremost, talk about the Rangers and the start of this season and so far how things are rolling.
It's been a good start. It was a hectic start. We started up at the Boyne Mountain Invite after a very short calendar year to begin things. I think Monday we had tryouts. By Friday we were on a bus heading up to Boyne. 5 games up there, very good competition. Birmingham Sea Home, Detroit Country Day, New Boston Huron, and to fight through that unscathed, barely, and to come back down and play, a perennial power like South Christian, Rockford, and then Forest Hills Northern Monday night. It's kind of been a gauntlet, but the boys have shown their resiliency. They've really bonded together. That trip up north was excellent from a team bonding standpoint. And we've been able to get off to a really good start because of it.
Seems like you guys have created a level of camaraderie and togetherness from what I collected from, obviously, with you guys a very short time last year, but we're following along very closely from what I watched, even in just those handful of games that I did. Now, obviously, you guys have Amir Bektis covering your games. Very proud of that guy. He's a hard worker, man, and obviously played high school soccer once upon a time, so he's plugged into the soccer scene at the same time. One of the biggest things that I saw out of you, though, you guys had some young players out there not only representing but going out and producing, and it's becoming more and more competitive here on the west side of the state to be able to break through and have success specifically in the postseason. Is there anybody that's kind of surprised you in what they've been able to do here very early into the season on your roster?
So getting to your point about the balance, we're a team that's made up of 9 seniors, I think 6 or 7 juniors, and the rest are sophomores. It is probably the most balanced attack I've had since I've been here at Forest Hill Central. Surprise might not. I mean, I've gotten to watch these guys all summer long in workouts and scrimmages and all these things. So surprise might be a little bit of an overstatement, but I think Jake Backert, Ben Backert's younger brother, has been an absolute force for us coming in as a super sophomore, and what he's been able to contribute. I think he's got 7 goals, 7 assists to this point, just 1 goal under his brother Ben. But I mean, we've had contributions all across the board. I think we've only had, aside from the goalkeepers, 2 kids that haven't scored yet on this team. So the balance has been maybe more of a surprise than maybe Jake's own contribution level. And, that's what makes this team so special.
We're obviously looking at some highlights here from this past week. The biggest challenge on the west side of the state, there have been some powerhouse schools, right? And when you talk about Division II, Unity Christian right now in there, the opportunity to go deep in a playoff run is very challenging because your districts are pretty stacked, right? You're talking about getting out of that district is extremely difficult. But once you do, it opens things up. It's like almost like the state championship takes place in the districts. How are you able to manage that part of this? Because I would imagine, like when I was in high school, and I'm sure Nate the same way, when you're in these environments and you're expected to win soccer games, you're expected to get to a state championship, you're expected to win a district championship. When they have these really, really difficult districts, it makes it so difficult. And how do you keep your players motivated on that aspect? Because sometimes like a gut, like a punch in the gut, right? Where I got to face this team. We got to face them again in the district final. I mean, my goodness, I'm curious how you handle that aspect of this.
Well, I mean, you are correct, John. We have some very, very stocked programs here on the west side of the state. You spoke about Unity. I spoke about South, Spring Lake in the past, and just in our conference, the OK White, I mean, geez, oh, Pete's, you have had Grand Rapids Christian that's won 2 state titles. EGR there was on a run of going to the Elite 8 for, I think, 3 years in a row. And obviously Northern went to the state championship last year and knocked us out in the district semi, which, was a definite gut punch because I thought we were the 2 best teams in the area. For me, it's always been a game by game mindset. I don't think you can go any further than that. When you play these teams, now twice in league and then you see them again in district, I think that the best thing you can do is just tell the boys to keep focusing on their task and focusing on their job at hand. You play Team X, that's the team we play next. If you get too focused on, oh no, it's Central or Northern or it's Christian or, whoever the case may be, I think the bigger issue is just getting boys to hone in on what they need to do on the field the best that they can. And really the rest will take care of itself at that point.
You look at this Division II right now. Here are the state rankings, right? Obviously, De La Salle, who won the state championship last year. You've got Unity Christian. You've got you. Then below that, you've got Allendale. Forest Hills Northern, Muskegon Reeds Puffer, Grand Rapids Christian, Holland. St. Joe. 8 of these 15 teams are from the west side of the state of Michigan. It's a gauntlet.
It is a gauntlet. It is a gauntlet, and it makes me proud to be a coach on the west side of the state that we have that representation. A lot of those teams that you mentioned, I know those coaches. Many of them are what I consider colleagues, friends. So I'm happy that it's a good representation of what the West Side is about. And you can go even further than that, and just the history of West Michigan soccer on this side. Rockford went to the state championship a couple years ago against Adams. East Kentwood, obviously, with what John Conlon did there. There's a lot of history from the west side of the state, and I every year that I see listings like this, it makes me proud to be a part of that.
And the landscape has changed remarkably too. You're seeing the West Side really compete a lot with the East Side in that regard, and really that's something I think you can stretch across sports. You even look at football is the same exact way, continue to develop really well over here. I think the population's getting larger too. I think that helps. You got a lot of people moving in, but in terms of the soccer scene, and this was something we talked about, JT, you and I, when we had our preseason rankings, especially in Division II. The West Side's starting to really gain a foothold. I wanted to ask you this because this is something that I talked about on the broadcast when I was covering you guys, but never actually got the opportunity to talk to you directly about it, Paul. But your story is one that fascinates me in a lot of ways because you're originally from Michigan. And then MLive wrote up a piece on you, and they were talking about your family and moving away from Michigan. And the explanation as to why they did that was very simple. It was very straightforward. They didn't like the winters. They saw how cold it was. They wanted to get the hell out of here. Frankly, I don't blame them. That's an amazing reason to leave. I wish that was reason enough for me to get the heck out of here. But you guys went to Hawaii, and you spent a good chunk of your life there, graduated there, played there. But then there was a little section of your life where you stepped away from the game of soccer and just being a young man trying to build a life, and then slowly worked your way back into it. Not only that, but came back to Michigan at the same exact time. And now you're coaching at the high school level, and we're seeing the level of talent and the depth that has come from that. I know this is a loaded question, but how much has the landscape changed over the course of your lifetime on the west side of the state? And I guess what was it like living in Hawaii for a little bit?
Well, that's a loaded question. As far as the landscape level, it's absolutely changed. So to kind of touch a little bit on my story, yeah, I was born here in Michigan. About the time I was 10, 11, 12 years old, my parents had decided that the white stuff in the wintertime was enough for them, sold their business. Bought some land in Hawaii, built a house, went to high school out there, and was actually supposed to go to Central Michigan on a scholarship to play soccer. This was 1992. And at that time, they had, discontinued their men's program. At that time, there was no emails, no letters, or it was a letter from the head coach 2 weeks before I was supposed to fly to Michigan saying that program had been discontinued. So, at that point, I wound up going to Calvin University, wound up playing there for a year, being a 5'9" goalkeeper. It's not exactly the most beneficial size to be that position, but it was the best decision I ever made. But just thinking back upon the level of where I was at, where other guys were at, and seeing where kids are at now at 16, 17, 18 years old, it's mind-boggling just across the board how skilled, how athletic these kids are. I used to think I was a decent goalkeeper in high school, but I see what some of these goalkeepers now are doing and field players, and it's just it's awesome to see. But it definitely shows your wear as far as your age and what you thought you were back in the day. But no, Hawaii was a great experience. Still have a lot of friends back there. All my family has now moved back to the mainland. And one of these days I'll get back there again. But yeah, it was an awesome upbringing.
First off, I can't. We talked about this kind of like in the before the show started about your backdrop. So for clear purposes, we want to make sure we explain this. You are not using a green screen right now. You are just on your back porch in West Michigan.
Yeah, so this is probably my favorite place to be when, we get mid-spring to mid to late fall. You have this backdrop here, and we got 2.5 acres of what I call my serenity, where I get away. During soccer season, I watch game film out here. I do practice planning. And, at night I hang out with my wife and watch a movie or just catch up on the day, have a glass of wine with her, and got the fire table if it gets a little too nipply out. But no, this is my piece of heaven on earth for sure.
JT, I got to tell you, man, he's got a point. The tree to human being ratio over here on the west side is just great. A lot of trees around, a lot of bushes. You can actually get away and escape into the woods once in a while if you want. Tree to human being ratio over here on the west side is just great. A lot of trees around, a lot of bushes. You can actually get away and escape into the woods. It's hard, man. Build. The west side's the best side.
Agree with you. Our family will oftentimes travel to Saugatuck, and we'll head out to Lake Michigan. I think it's Saugatuck like national whatever, like Saugatuck State Park, whatever, dunes, whatever it is. But we go there all the time and we love it. It's a 3-hour drive and it's worth it, So absolutely. Paul, man, we are obviously a huge supporter of what you're doing there at Forest Hill Central. You guys obviously on a tear so far this season. Last time I looked, 8-0-1 is currently where you are at. You had a tie against Rockford here on the 22nd, a 3-3 tie. On Monday, you guys did win against Grand Rapids Forest Hills Northern, 5-3. I'm sure that's going to have some impact on the rankings as well. But Paul, man, we appreciate you stopping by and being a part of Inside the Game.
I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Coming up here
yes, sir.
after
Take
this,
it easy.
we have NISA's Josh Taylor will join us here again on the Inside the Game show number 146. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Josh Taylor after this.
Are you ready to create unforgettable moments for your audience? NSN offers professional live streaming and full broadcast services tailored to your needs.
From high-quality production to exceptional coverage,
We ensure your game or event becomes a spectacle to remember. Book your next game with us today
call 586-304-4405 to schedule your broadcast.
and let NSN bring the action to life like never before.
Welcome back here into Inside the Game on this Wednesday morning. Before we bring on Josh, got to give a shout out to my kids and the kids all across this country who have made their way back to school this week. We
Stay in class.
And the shout out is get back there, go do your thing,
Get in
go
there.
learn,
Yep. Go read your books.
and read your books or your iPads
Get to
or
class.
whatever. We
Where's
love
your
you.
hall
We love you
pass?
kids, but we don't want you around us anymore.
Yep.
We want the adults want to hang out now. we want some space. We want to go
Yep.
to Target at noon and not see you. Okay, that's what we
Hey,
want.
anytime I'm over there, I feel like one of your kids, though. So I feel like the kids are never too far away. I feel like I'm one of them anytime I'm over there.
I love
so,
my
you
kids.
know.
They all went to school today. Zoe is now a middle schooler, 6th grade. Nathan's a high schooler now. Brianna's still a high schooler. She's a junior. So super, super cool that they get to do that. But a shout out to them and all the kids across this country who have made their way back into school. I have no pity for you whatsoever. So, but either way, I don't think anyone does, right? I mean, hey, you know what? It's like, yeah. Good luck.
They're around their friends, you know, they're around them. So they get to dump all that energy into all that now. Yeah, they don't
That
have
they
to worry
do.
about, bugging you.
Let's bring on Josh Taylor now. Josh Taylor, Director of Communications for NISA. And, first off, welcome to Inside the Game, Josh.
Thanks for having me on, and glad to be on the show. Jonathan, just to clarify, I'm the broadcast production supervisor for the league.
I apologize. Broadcast production supervisor for the league. Obviously, my bad on that error. But Josh, first off, man, welcome in, and let's talk about this NISA Pro Cup. Obviously, big things happening at NISA. Let's talk about this tournament coming here to Michigan here in October.
Absolutely, yes. As you alluded to early in the show last week, the league and, of course, you guys, Premier Media Group, we announced that we have a broadcast production partnership for the 2025 NISA Pro Cup. And as you mentioned, that will be in Michigan. So we're very excited about that and glad to have you guys on to do production for our matches coming up. So we're very excited about that.
I know that there's still teams being announced. I don't know how many. I don't know the count right now currently, but these games are slated to start in October the 15th.
Yes, so we announced last week that the tournament will be starting on October 15th. We announced 8 teams so far for this tournament, and we have teams coming from across the country: Arkansas Wolves, Capo FC, DC Hyper, Los Angeles Force, Northern Colorado Hailstorm, Modesto City FC, Sin City FC, and Temecula FC.
And I know that there are still some teams, obviously, still to be announced. How many teams do you guys are you at liberty to say how many teams you're expected to participate in this tournament, or are we still not unsure?
We're still unsure yet as of right now, but as of how many teams that will be the finalized team, we are working on that as we speak, and we plan to make more tournament updates, hopefully in the next few weeks, but stay tuned. We'll keep you posted.
So my last question before I pass it off to Nate. Obviously, we've covered NISA the last number of years. We did so for the Detroit Gold Star Detroit. We did so for the Michigan Stars. Obviously, a lot of things happening in the last 18 months that have impacted. Because right now, NISA would be playing. Right, and typically this would be their wrapping up their end of the season, getting towards playoffs. Usually here into that October time period. There've been a lot of changes at NISA. Obviously, one of which them not playing during a professional season. So, is this going to be the new norm, having a tournament, or is there a likelihood that we're going to see NISA back in it here starting in March of next year?
So the purpose with the NISA Pro Cup, it is part of our application with U.S. Soccer, and our plan for the league is to use this tournament as a launching pad to kind of help us kind of restart NISA going into 2026. And I'm sure you guys are aware we've recently have new leadership involved, a new commissioner, Chandler Hoffman, Matt Morris being our CEO, Ron Gilmore returning to the league as an operations consultant, and you'll be helping us managing the tournament up here in Michigan as well. And we've built a lot of positive momentum for this league over the last few months. As far as sanctioning goes, we have submitted an application to U.S. Soccer, and we're very excited about the number of teams for the application. But for this tournament, the goal is to make it as successful as possible. We're going to treat it as a professional tournament with the marketing and everything that we're planning to put involved in this tournament. and use that as we look to restart the league by 2026.
JT was talking about it momentarily there, and I think you kind of backed it up in what you said, but you said the reception has been exceptionally well from teams interested in coming and participating in this. We're always talking about brand recognition on this podcast. I think that's something that is really important, especially when you mention wanting to grow your club, wanting to get to the next level, wanting to invite new people in, and just getting people interested in general. Have you had any conversations with coaches specifically or heads of these places, these clubs specifically, and what are they most excited about when it comes to being a part of a competition in a tournament like this? Because that's a long time. That's a good chunk of the fall. And obviously there's going to be a lot of good opportunities for recognition, brand recognition, obviously with us being the partner and broadcasting these games. It's going to get them out there a lot. What are they most excited about when in terms of getting the opportunity to be a part of a tournament like this with NISA?
Well, I think for a lot of the clubs that we've announced so far for this tournament, they're excited to be a part of it. And as we've made clear, the teams that we are having in this tournament are going to be going pro when we relaunch in 2026. So they're very excited about that. Going through this process, we have made sure with these clubs that they meet the expectations with not just our league, but U.S. Soccer. So we've been doing a good job holding our clubs accountable to that. And as you mentioned, it's an opportunity. They're going to be on a national platform where people can see their games, show their teams out and what they can do in this tournament like this. And we have teams that are looking at, bringing on additional investors and sponsorships and those type of things as well. So if anything, like you said, growing the brand, not just for the league, but for the clubs, giving them exposure, not just the clubs, but also the players. I think that's going to be the biggest benefit for this tournament is the players. It gets to show them an opportunity on the field and show what they can do. And we're certainly hoping from the league perspective that some of these players that will be in this tournament will be on the teams next year. But some, as you know, might end up getting opportunities to go elsewhere, whether that's MLS Next Pro, USL, or possibly abroad.
What are some of those expectations? Because you mentioned meeting expectations to be a part of it. Just very quickly, what are some of those expectations you guys are looking for if they want to be a part of something like this cup?
So some of the expectations we've talked about with the clubs is, bringing that professional mindset. As I listed the clubs earlier, some of these clubs that are going to be involved in this tournament were amateur. And now we're working with them transitioning from amateur to pro status. And we've made it very clear, look, you got to beef up not just your roster, but obviously your with front office and bringing the right people involved, coaching staff as well. And even though this is going to be a 2-week tournament, we will have some off days, but we're not going to be just chilling on the sidelines. We'll be doing some stuff on off days, whether that's some seminars or workshops, having some presentations. We'll keep the players and coaches busy. And we'll also hopefully have some media events. I'm not sure yet, but once we get some details on that, we'll let you guys know. But those are just some of the expectations we've mentioned to some of our clubs coming into this tournament, to have that professional mindset and being accountable and making sure your players are taken care of throughout the next couple of weeks in Michigan. But we're very excited. We're very excited for this tournament and can't wait to October 15th gets here where we get this party started. But like I said, you guys will be along for the ride, so it should be fun. We're looking forward to it.
Obviously, there are a different set of expectations that come with being a part of a pro club, so that makes sense in what you guys are and what your expectations are. And JT and I have had many conversations about what's the difference between a professional side and an amateur side, and it comes down to those expectations, as you talked about. So I'll be excited to see what the future looks like. I got one more quick question to work in here. Before we toss it back to Jonathan Turner, I see your background there. Are you excited for Week 1 against Ohio State?
Yeah, very excited with my Longhorns. It's going to be a rematch of the.
Do us a favor, all right?
We're going to beat down.
Do us a favor. Do us a favor. I'm just saying.
All right.
Should be a great ball game.
You guys had that win streak against Ohio State. Hope you guys can keep that going. But hey, you beat the national champ, so there you go. We didn't do that. So
second time around
on Saturday.
All right, hook them.
That's right, hook 'em horns.
Well, so I want to go back to this, and I think it's important because Nathan just alluded to this, right? We see a lot of these leagues around this country saying, path to pro, right, or pre-professional, new words to describe amateurism. Right. That's. And again, because we know what leagues are all about, we know what teams are about. They want to sell ads. And so if you're going to go into a partnership with a local restaurant or a regional business, the thing that sounds great is, hey, we're pre-professional. We're doing everything that you would do in the professional rank except this, which I would imagine in most cases is just not paying the players, or quote unquote having player contracts, because that's really what I think is expectations alone. I think what really defines professionalism is that you have contracts where you're stating that you're paying player X, right, for their services, right? And so, in the pre-professional world, the amateur world, there might be money being exchanged, but it's not contractual. It's here's some cash to come play on our team, right? That's kind of how things are happening in that space. My question for you is this, Josh, is that what is the standard in today's country in our new world of soccer where we are actually defining what professional is? Because I feel like we don't know. I feel like we're stuck in this thing where we're like, well, the USL2, UPSL, Midwest Premier League, all these leagues have come out that are amateur based, pre-professional. I think people don't know what the difference between them, NISA, USL Championship, USL League One. I mean, there is some confusion amongst, I think, the general public about what's the difference between these leagues, and more importantly, what sets them apart.
Yeah, John, those are excellent points you brought up there, and I can only relate to my personal experience. So when I was in Florida, and I was going to school at college at Full Sail University, I did do an internship. I was a digital content intern for Inter Orlando Academy. We were in the UPSL at the time, and obviously you're based in Michigan. I'm sure you work with plenty of the UPSL teams, and you hear all kinds of stories about the UPSL and how some teams are there and they take it seriously, and some teams are just, going through motions sometimes. And I know when I was with Inter Orlando Academy, the biggest issue we had was we had a roster of players like at the start of the season, but as we got close to the end of the season, players started leaving for various reasons, and we had to forfeit our last couple of games because we just didn't have enough players. But when we're looking at the amateur game, it's not just UPSL. Other leagues have had issues like that, and I know for NISA, we had NISA Nation that's had some challenges as well. And I think the major differentiator with NISA Nation and NISA in general is what we try to do is we try to differentiate ourselves by, especially with the new leadership coming in, is being player centric focus. Our new commissioner Joe Hoffman has been very focused on that, player welfare, make sure the players are taken care of, and we want to focus on giving players opportunities not just while they're playing, but also after they're playing, because not just with NISA Nation, or I'm sorry, NISA Pro, but we're trying to do similar things with NISA Nation as well. And because, players, when they leave soccer, they look at, coaching or maybe doing broadcasting, things of that nature. And solidarity payments, that stuff we've talked about as well across the league. So those are some things that I talk about on our end. I can't speak for the other leagues as far as USL League 2 or UPSL or NPSL, but I think with the amateur game, it's like the Wild Wild West, everything's different, with different leagues, but I think they all try to strive for the same thing. And that is, trying to find ways to get their players to move up to the professional leagues. And I know for NISA and NISA Nation in general, we are trying to do the same thing.
So I appreciate the response and the answer because we saw this thing today. I saw a meme. Obviously, Taylor Swift got engaged, and that's a big deal, right, in the United States. It wouldn't have been a big deal 10 years ago, but somehow it's a big deal today, which I get, I guess, to some level.
I think it would have been a big deal 10 years ago.
I don't know. I feel like it's bigger today than it's ever been or ever will be. But anyways, with that being said, it's part of their meme, USL, which announced here a few months ago about their having a Division I, program, a Division I league, and that there's going to be pro-rel between Division I Championship and League One. And now that you guys NISA's in this unique scenario where they get to do like a reset button, right? Not a lot of leagues get to do a reset, right? You do. You have a chance here to reset NISA. Is there conversations within the hierarchy of NISA about what pro relegation could look like if you wanted to try to put that together in some way as you're resetting the league? And is that a conversation that the league has had at some point or at any level?
We've had conversations about it in the past. I know our previous leadership from back in 2021 when I was working with Chicago House, my banner writer, we were in NISA at one point. They're now playing the Midwest Premier League. But when I was working with Peter Wiltz, Peter Will had told us plenty of times that he had multiple conversations with the producers at the time when they were running NISA about pro-rel. With the new leadership coming in, it is something that we have discussed. We don't know, like, as far as how we plan to implement it just yet, but it is something we have discussed. And once we I think the goal for us right now is just to get the tournament going and making that successful as it can be. We get relaunched for NISA for 2026, have a solid, good season next year, and then depending on how many teams we get and build out not just NISA Pro, the third division, but also NISA Nation, our amateur circuit. And certainly if we get enough teams of interest, pro-rel would certainly be a possibility. And as you mentioned, down the road, but we got to take care of what's in front of us. That's a challenge ahead. And as you mentioned with USL, yes, USL, they have announced they're going to have a Division I league, I think by 2028, I believe. And I know they've also talked about flipping the calendar as well. And look, USL, those guys have done a really great job. I know after that split with NASL, that happened back in, I think it was 2010. And from where they were at that time to where they are now, it's just amazing. And I listened to an interview the other day on the Soccer Business with Simon Evans, and Justin Papadakis was on that show. And he was talking about, we got like 70 different stadium projects, and it's all focused on real estate with a lot of those. So the teams that to bring on board and growing, it's great for USL. And look, for NISA, we're striving to get there at some point, but we got to take it one step at a time, John. So, but yes, we've had, to answer your question, we've talked about pro-rel in the past and the present, but in the future, we'll have to see how that plays out. But for now, we just got to focus on the tournament and then next year and see how it goes.
No, absolutely. I just would not, if I didn't ask that question, right? I mean, it's just such a topic that is bounced around this country. And to be fair, I'm not a big fan of pro-rel on any level, just because of the money aspect and the size of our country. But I feel it's a conversation we should actually be having with leagues around the country when they start talking about this, because it's a hot topic amongst those who are fans of the game. But Josh, we appreciate you stopping by here and being a part of the show. We're excited about our coverage and the coverage of the NISA Pro Cup coming here in October. All those games can be seen on the National Soccer Network as well as NISA Plus on our Roku channel, and we're excited about that. Again, October 15th when that tournament kicks off. More information about who's playing in it and how that tournament will shape up will be released here in the coming weeks leading up into that tournament. But Josh, again, thank you again for being a part of Inside the Game here this morning.
My pleasure, John. Nathan, thanks for having me.
Yes,
You're
sir.
very welcome.
Thank you.
Coming up here on the other side of the break, question of the day here on Inside the Game. We'll be back here with that after this.
The Flint City Bucks are Michigan's top soccer franchise with 4 national championships, 9 conference titles, and 15 Great Lakes Division titles. They have produced 107 players for Major League Soccer, and they focus on attracting top talent and shaping soccer's future. Michigan Bucks Academy joins NLS Next new competition tier starting in September of 2025. This offers elevated levels of play and flexibility for high school participation. The Academy will provide premier development, high-performance training, and exposure to scouts through regional tournaments and MLS Next events. For more information on tryouts, training programs, and key updates as we prepare for our first season in MLS Next new tier, visit MichiganBucksAcademy.com.
Welcome back here into Inside the Game on this Wednesday morning, getting close to wrapping this one up. A shout out and a great thank you to Paul Kramer and Josh Taylor for being our guests here on the show this morning. We have some great guests lined up here later this week. We'll announce those here later this afternoon. We have some guests lined up for next week as well, which is really, really exciting. Hey, we made a huge announcement yesterday. Hotel Planner is now an official partner of the National Soccer Network. Matter of fact, on your screen right now. And so I did a check. I kid you not, Ryan, and I want to have Ryan and Nathan hop in on this conversation because I think it's important before we dive into the question of the day itself, is that I went on Hotel Planner yesterday with our link, went in there and started looking for a hotel in Las Vegas because I plan on going to Vegas in December. And I went on the website. I looked at it. Checked all the numbers, and then went directly to the website of the hotel. And we were cheaper than the hotel pricing. All right. I had my friend in Nashville, Tennessee do the exact same thing. He went to the same link, then went to a hotel locally, did whatever. We were still cheaper. Right. So now, is it like hundreds of dollars? No. We're talking like, $5, $6, $7, $8, or sometimes $10 a night in savings. I don't know about you, but I still like to save money. So all you got to do is go to nationalsoccernetwork.hotelplanner.com and search for the hotel around the United States, and you would be able to save yourself some money. And I'm curious both your thoughts on saving money on a hotel.
Adds up. If you add that up over a week, 10 times 5, that's $50. You realize how much I would kill for an extra $50 sometimes? I've done a lot more for a lot less, boys. So yes, I would absolutely sign up for those savings and be able to travel and get some money off at the same exact time. Honestly, and you talked about December, that kind of looks like the area of the year that might be best for me at the same exact time. So I think I have one game on the books, count it one that month, which I haven't had a month with one game in probably at least a decade. So I'm pumped. Yeah, that sounds like an awesome opportunity. I don't know if I'm going to go to Vegas. I don't know if I'm really a Vegas guy. I might go the Paul Kramer route and find some nature and just go out there for a week. But wherever it ends up being,
well, it's
if I'm going to save some money, I'm
warm
going.
because in December it might be a little cold. I mean, I'm not saying
warm nature. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe like Florida,
the swamplands of Louisiana. Yeah, exactly, something like that. I don't know.
I did watch that Katrina, by the way. I was watching that document. I did start watching that,
up.
and dude, if you haven't watched that, you need to watch it. It's a very interesting documentary. It shines a light not only on what took place that led up to the whole the whole thing, but also how much we actually truly rely on the government. It's like, like how people actually rely so much on the government that like they're waiting for the government to come to them. And it's like, wait a second.
Well, and the other thing is, guys, I think we got to start to admit, like, getting older is realizing that Michigan is one of the best states in the country, man. We don't have to deal with the big-time creepy crawlies. We don't have to deal with alligators. We don't have to deal with really natural disasters. I mean, you might have a tornado that rips through every now and again, but like there's this, might cause some damage. But we don't have it too bad up here. But yeah, and you're right. We do rely on a lot of different things that the government provides, but also the response to it was just terrible. I mean, it was bad, and people were left out to dry and left to die, essentially. So it's a black eye, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who might have been in those suits once upon a time that wish something like that was never released, because I don't think we understood the scale of how horribly mismanaged all of that was until we finally obviously get to dive into something like that.
We also watched the Biggest Loser documentary as well, and that was a shocker. I was like, wow, who would have thought that was as bad as it was? But hey, we're going to dive here now into the question of the day presented by Salt Athletic.
Oh, it's my turn to shine. My time to
Oh,
shine.
yeah,
Yes.
Glinsky. Let's get it.
Let's go.
Before, obviously, GT mentioned it, but yeah. Been waiting for that. Salt Athletic, official sponsor of NSN. Make sure you use promo code NSN15, save 15%. Also, visit saltathletic.com today or scan that QR code on your screen. But yes, question of the day.
Woo!
Question of the day. Is the U.S. men's national team September roster incomplete? But before.
Woo!
Man, I've been waiting for that. And there's the Salt Athletic bag.
Yeah.
By the way, it's not just for cleats. Dead fish or maybe fish that are rotting in your fridge can also go in here, and it will lock in that smell. You won't smell it. You won't smell it.
Dead anything. You got anything that's dead? Just stuff it in the...
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, obviously. That is. All right, so the question
Really
today
good
is
for
the
that.
U.S. men's national team September roster incomplete? Absolutely it is. Yes, it is.
Yep.
Clearly. I mean, yes,
Yeah.
you have some players back. Yes, you do. We have players back. We got Pulisic back. We got Des back. We got some players like Diego Luna who maybe otherwise wouldn't be on this roster. But again, McKinney is not on this roster, right? We talked about that. Now, granted, there are players who are hurt. There are some people out there who are shaking their heads about this roster, not happy about it. And again, 10 months out from the World Cup, we are talking about this roster being incomplete, right? And again, we can talk all day long about getting people looks. That's what training camp is for. I mean, trainings are for that specific purpose. I mean, Pochettino, I'm curious what an actual U.S. men's national team coach does when they're not in camp. I would like to know. I would love to have like someone follow a coach of a national team anywhere around the world to figure out what they're doing when there's no players with them. Where are they at? What do they do? I mean, so I'm just curious. I mean, when you're saying you're bringing players in like who we've never heard of before, or players who you're like, well, why are they coming in? When we ask those types of questions, are we trying to get them a fair look? I mean, or aren't we seeing that on a Saturday night on Apple TV? I guess that's my question. I'm just asking for a friend, by the way.
You remember back in school when you would wait till like 24 hours before the test to study for it? Like the big massive like exam at like the end of the semester, like this is do or die. Like you have to pass it in order to pass the class. That's kind of what the vibe of U.S. men's national team soccer is kind of giving me right now. Like we're up against the biggest test ever, right? The biggest tournament in the world. By the way, you don't have to qualify because you're already hosting. So we already jumped over that hurdle. And that's what I thought the Gold Cup was. That's exactly what, to your point, that's what I thought that was. Especially after the Nations League embarrassment, I thought that was our opportunity to just test players out. Like, we know who our 11 is. Now we just have to figure out who to add to it. Again, very happy that Diego Luna's on that list. Very happy that Matt Freese is getting a look. I thought both of them showed out. And I understand, listen, the injury component of this, if you're hurt, you're hurt. You're like, I can't really get mad at them for not being on the team if they're actually injured. But that's the other side of the question is like there's got to be some players on this list that are still good to go. Like there's the difference between being hurt and being injured. I don't know if you've ever had a coach tell you that. There's a difference between having a boo-boo and actually not actually being able to play.
Hey, boo-boo.
Yeah, boo-boo. So I would have to dive deeper into the medical analysis of who is hurt and who is not available. But yeah, to not have a lot of those players, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, I mean, just to name a few of them, is very concerning. And again, now we're getting into this is the dress rehearsal to the World Cup now. Like Nations League, Gold Cup, whatever. We were still a ways out to where, yeah, they were the last major tournaments, but even in these friendlies, like this is the buildup. This is the moment where we figure out who's who. Like, you know, I don't know if you ever, again, you know, I like referring to the movie Miracle all the time, but I mean, this is training camp. You know, this is when people are throwing up and we're doing suicides and people are hitting the ground because they're exhausted. Like, this is the time where we figure out who's who and we start to trim the fat. And yet a lot of the names on that list that, again, if we're going to list our 11, who we want our 11 to be going into the World Cup, who are definitely going to be on my list, who are definitely not on this list. So it's, you know, Alexi Lalas retweeted that the other day, said a lot to talk about here. And I agree. We could probably fill up an entire week's worth of content just based on that team alone. But it just feels like we're cramming before the exam right now. It feels like we're pulling a 4 a.m. or just trying to read through the book, figuring out what do we have to do in order to put up a fight in the World Cup. So it's discouraging. It's discouraging.
And I know that there's something to be said about seeing somebody in an international environment when playing domestically. All right.
Yeah.
I was driving in this morning and I heard an interview from Pochettino talking about how he thinks the MLS is more competitive than a lot of leagues across the world. He actually said this in an interview, by the way. And so I don't know.
That's crazy.
I don't know if he had been drinking before this interview or not, but it's like you know, to say that. And again, he's not saying comparing it maybe to like, you know, the Champions League or like that, but he's like, yeah, it's a competitive league. I mean, and it's more competitive, and so players going across. I think he's trying to sell players on staying here, maybe, and the value of being here. But again, to have 3 or 4 players on your roster or come to camp. And be a part of this to see what the experience is like, to get them a chance. The only players that should be coming in are players who have an actual chance of being on the World Cup roster in 2026. There should be nobody else coming to this camp. Like, I mean, nobody. So if you're not even on a glimmer of hope, you should not be on this roster. You shouldn't be. 9 months, 10 months out from the World Cup, and you're going to be sitting here and telling me that any of these players who I've never heard of, well, I've heard of most of these players, but you're telling me that looking at this roster, and again, we'll put it back up on the screen here because I think it's important that we do that. McGlynn, yes. Is McGlynn going to be an actual rostered player? You know, is Zwodzicki? Is it Zwodzicki? I can't pronounce that, man. Zwodzicki? Sorry. Sean
Swatsky.
Zawatsky.
Yeah,
okay,
Polish,
yeah.
so.
All right,
Spell it out.
Zwodzicki.
Sound it out.
I have never heard of Zwodzicki.
Never.
I've never heard of him. All right, I've heard of Chris Richards. Tim Ream, obviously heard of him. Nathan Harriel. Have you heard of Nathan Harriel?
Nope.
Alex
hey, your
Freeman.
boy Sebastian Berhalter made it.
Berhalter's in there. Yes, he is. I've heard Max Armstead. I've heard, okay, Nohaka Banks. Noah Kai Banks. Have you heard Noah Kai Banks? Nope. Okay. Obviously, Serginho Dest. Alex Freeman.
No.
Okay. I'm curious how many of these players have ever actually had an actual cap to their name. Damian Downs.
Tim Ream, Chris Richards has. Max Darfson obviously has. Serginho Dest has. I'm just listing off names here. Obviously, Matt Freese has.
Yep. Noah Kai Banks, though. Has he had
I've never heard of him.
No, I don't. As far as I know, no. Tyler Adams, obviously Sebastian Berhalter.
Luca De La Torre.
Yeah. Diego Luna.
You know, so that in here, again, I'm not saying that you have to be well known to be on this team. That's not like, I mean, you know, but you look at
it just
this
seems
and
thin.
Okay, huh?
It seems thin.
It extremes. Again, again, if there's players coming in who are filling these roles who you're like, okay, well, if for some reason we can't take a McKennie, you know, who's going to fill in? It just shows you what kind of depth we don't have. I mean, that's really what this shows me. What depth do we have? You're going to sit here and tell me what's our depth? I mean, yes, we're missing some players. There's no doubt we're missing players, right? We know that. If we look at again, who's not on this roster. Weston McKennie omitted. Again, he's getting settled, regaining his top form. Cardoso, Matt Turner, right? And again, goalkeeping, another conversation in itself. Gio Reyna, okay? Not on the. I'm curious why he's not on it. Do we know why he's not? He's not injured, is he?
No, he's not injured, but
I mean,
he's kind
Musa?
of in the middle of a move.
Yunus Musa.
Yeah,
I
there's
mean,
a lot of drama
I get
going
it.
around with
he's
Gio
moving,
Reyna.
but Musa,
Yeah.
right? And Anthony Robinson, obviously he's getting back from a knee injury. Balogun, right, admitted due to an injury. Pepe, he's recovering from an injury. Malik Tillman got a minor strain.
One.
He's got a minor strain. So okay, he's not gonna play. So you start to ask yourself, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players who couldn't make it in for various reasons, of which 4 of them are still injured. I asked this question, like, why, what are we doing here? And again, it shows our depth. And if you're saying, hey, Pochettino's like, hey, I don't have a choice, I got to fill the roster, I'm going to grab some people. It seems like he just.
Well, so wait, hold on. Who are the 5 that are not injured?
Huh?
Who are the 5 that are not injured again?
McKennie, Cardoso, Turner, Reyna, Musa.
Balogun has a shoulder injury, serious shoulder injuries.
Yeah, but those 4 are the ones that are injured. So 5 are not playing. But again, does anyone else all feel like that he just did that? Okay, guys, who are we picking here? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
I guess when you have a list of guys banged up, but also a list of guys who Yunus Musa doesn't make any sense to me. I thought for sure he would be out there, especially after the interview we saw with ESPN recently. But you have to go with who you have to go with. Unfortunately, you have to make difficult decisions if those players aren't playing. But also you have some injuries too, and those are key injuries. Like that's the hard thing is like especially not having Tyler Adams due to injury. Like that's huge. He is a massive component of this U.S. men's national team. We are asking the question of who's second best on the U.S. men's national team. It's probably Tyler Adams. That's me personally. I think it would be Adams. So there are a lot of key injuries, but it is thin. It is extremely thin to the point of the MLS being competitive with other leagues. I wouldn't say it's on the same level as a lot of different leagues, especially not the top leagues. But I think as we slowly see these bigger moves being made and bringing more talented players over, it's becoming top heavy, I think, in a lot of ways. There might be 1-2 teams in the MLS you could say could compete with different teams across the world. But on a league-wide basis, no, it's not there yet. But you and I have talked about the value of top American players coming back and playing in the top league in America. You and I have mentioned how having a shift in that direction could change a lot for this country on the soccer side of things. It could change everything. So I'm not going to dog on players coming back to the MLS. Like I said, even when we were talking about Paxton Aronson, that's just something I'm not going to do. I do see the benefit in doing that, but I mean, to say it's up there with some of the best leagues in the world obviously is disingenuous. It's not. But, does it match up against some of the lower division levels in certain countries? I don't know. I'd say so. But it's very top heavy. That's the issue with the MLS.
For sure. Did you have a comment, Ryan?
Yeah, so I've been doing a little bit of digging here. Musa is currently in a 25 million euro move to Atalanta at the moment, and I think that played a little bit of a factor, but doing a little bit of reading as well, that this list only has 22 players on the September roster, but they are adding a 23rd player once it comes closer to the time. So they didn't say that it's going to be Weston McKennie, but people are kind of implying that it is going to be Weston McKennie to be back. But yeah, there is a one open spot, but Nate kind of mentioned about Yunus Musa. He's a little concerned about it, but Musa is in the middle of a 25 million euro move to Atalanta, so he'll still be in the Serie A.
Yeah. That one player.
Well, Gio's in the middle of a transfer
doing like that, like the Mentos commercial, like, like that one player.
Doing some diggy.
I hear you. Gio's in the middle of a move too, so I mean, I guess that's...
I know. I just, it's this is the problem, right? And this is the problem with the U.S. men's national team, right? When we see what happens in the U.S. women's national team, it makes sense, right? We just talked about this. What the things that's going on right now in the U.S. women's national team, this is a team that's been very successful. So everything that they do is about staying successful. So when they bring in young players, you know, and you're bringing them in, there's a method. It seems like there's a method to it, right? And then we see what's happening with these men's, and you're like, what is going on? Like, who is this player? It's. And again, if we could be all wrong, I could be looking here in at the end of September after all these games and say, wow, okay, well that's a stud. But to be fair, we're not playing like the world's best teams. We're playing Korea Republic and Japan.
They're in the top 30.
No, I know
think they're
that,
both
but
in the top
I'm just
30.
saying that what I mean by that is that what is this going to be? In fact, going to be a true test of what we're going to be seeing here in the next 9 months? And
I think so.
I hope so.
They're pretty
I
good
hope so.
sides. Yeah.
You know, are these teams even qualifying? Are they going to qualify for the
I mean,
World Cup?
correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan. I'm pretty sure they're both. I think Korea's really good. I think they're both.
But the question
squarely
is,
in
are they
the
going to
top
actually be in
30.
the World Cup? That's the question.
I think with it expanded, they kind of have to.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Absolutely.
I haven't looked at the qualifying lately. Maybe we should do that. But hey, we could go on and on about this for a long time. I just, again, a lot of, yes, is this roster incomplete? Yes, it is for obvious reasons. It's very much like the Gold Cup roster we saw this summer. We saw 8 players who would normally be in the starting 11, or at least in that conversation, did not join the Gold Cup roster this summer. And now we've got 9 players who, again, would be very impactful. At least 7 of them would be impactful on this roster. So it's very much incomplete.
Korea is 23, by the way.
Korea's 23.
And who else
Where's
do we play?
Japan?
Japan.
Japan. They're 17, so 2 spots below us. So yeah, these are going to be some important games. This, I think, could be a measuring stick to how well we do in the World Cup and in the future.
Well, there you go. Well, that is the question of the day presented by Salt Athletic. If you want to get involved in the comments, check it out on Twitter as far as YouTube and on our website at nationalsoccernetwork.com. We'll be back at this again here tomorrow morning, same time, same place, on episode number 147. Tomorrow, we will continue our conversation about the U.S. women's national team. Who would you pick to be on the field? Your starting 11. If you had every player in the history of the U.S. women's national team program to pick from, who would you pick? Well, Nathan and I will discuss that tomorrow right here on Inside the Game, and we are excited to do that. For Nathan Wangler, I'm Jonathan Turner, and Ryan Glinsky, our producer. I want to thank you once again. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning, same time, same place on Inside the Game. From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.